Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Spiritual Grind. We hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to follow, hit the little bell for your notifications when the podcast is posted, and follow, and share with your friends. We hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment if there's any topics that you want us to speak about.
Like, follow, share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jenny. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiritual Grind.
Good morning.
Thank you all for listening. Well, how's your morning going?
Absolutely wonderful. Got to sit by my lake enjoying the nature.
Had some sunshine this morning, finally.
Yeah.
It's been like a week.
I know. Everything's soggy bottom.
My tan is fading. Good morning, and a quick shout out to Greenhouse Yoga. We're going to be housing our workshop on October 10th, 11th, and 12th, hosting it for us.
Yeah.
That's a Greenhouse Yoga that is in Port Orange at 4606 Clyde Morris Boulevard. And That's
in Florida.
That is in Florida. That is in Port Orange, Florida. If you would like to attend the workshop, then you send me an email at drjames@themerckcenters.org. Or you can send us a text or even call us at 813-285-9951. It is $60 a head for the entire 3-day workshop.
Right.
So it's going to be very enlightening. It's called The Power of Thought.
Yeah, it's a good workshop.
It is. It's going to be I don't even know how many times I've presented this workshop. But it's been a few.
For sure.
It's going to be successful again. Anyway, so got a good topic for today.
All right. I've been dying to go down the rabbit hole on some topics, so.
Well, I don't know knowing you'll find a place to jump off in that hole somewhere.
I've been needing to jump off in the rabbit hole. I just haven't been given the topic.
Well, I don't know if this one will do it or not, but it's a good topic, and I think it's very informative for people.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we were working on it with you earlier, and I had this thought in mind prior to you even bringing up the topic this morning.
It usually does work that way, right?
Yes, it does. Because, and here is the topic. Are you allowing a fear or an unknown or a hesitation to not allow balance into traumatic events in your life?
So can you say it differently? I'm confused.
Well, say for example.
Okay.
I don't know why this is coming to mind, but you have a car accident.
Okay.
And you now have a continuous fear of being in another car accident.
Okay.
No matter if it was your fault, somebody else's fault, just weird happenstance, whatever that is, do you carry that fear of the car accident happening again and not allowing it to be okay if it does? And so, because we have, as humans, we get this idea that when something happens traumatic to us, we must hang on to it and completely pendulum to the other side and be like, okay, I'm not going to allow this to happen in my life again. This is not going to happen.
And so what are you saying is the outcome of doing it that way?
It doesn't release the energy. You're hanging on to that energy.
Right, but then what happens in your reality? How does your reality look?
Well, when you hang on to an energy, we all know what you think about, you bring about, and it will feed back into your reality if you continue to hang on to that traumatic energy.
Okay, well, I was trying to get you going a different direction.
Okay, well, then just say it.
No, I was just seeing if you were going to go there. Because what it can also do is prevent you from being able to rewrite the story.
Yes, that's where you're trying to get me to go.
If you're hanging on to the story of the traumatic event and that's how you're living your life, you won't allow yourself to open up to the multiple possibilities of how life could look in that topic
Yep.
because you're just closed off and so concentrating on preventing the trauma from happening again that you're even closed yourself off to the good side of the coin of how things could look.
Right. Like a lot of people have a tendency to,
Like-
only thing they remember is the bad part.
Right. And so, like, we use your car accident illustration.
Just use my real one.
Well, let me just go in this direction right
Yeah.
quick just to clarify. If you have the accident at the corner of, I don't know, Bay and Crown Street.
Yeah. What odd names? How did you randomly come up with those names? Bay and Crown.
It's not me. It's a channel. And you're terrified of going to that corner. And there's now a fall festival going on in that section. And there's an item that you've asked for that you need and want. And spirits put that together divinely so that you can interact with not only the human that has it, but having the thing that you've asked for. But you are absolutely hell-bent on never going to that corner again because you're carrying the trauma of the accident with you and trying to control not having an accident again by eliminating even going to that neighborhood.
Right.
Then you will completely miss out on the divine input of having the very thing that you've asked for.
Right.
Because the market's on that corner.
Yep.
Then you see how it would create blocks of you being able to see or hear or follow the breadcrumbs of something that you're asking for and how it could intertwine.
Right.
Rabbit hole kind of
Well,
concept.
I did that exact thing when I had the traumatic events when I was younger, which the details of will be released in my book called Unlocked. There was a traumatic event that happened to me when I was 19.
Yeah.
And I didn't go back to that spot until you and I went, 8 or 9 years ago. I didn't go back to it for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Or for, I guess, probably 25 years.
Right.
I refused to go back to that spot, even though it was a completely random event that happened.
Right.
And I had been to that spot 100 times.
Yeah.
But the only thing I remembered was the bad thing.
Right.
And I used to have a ton of fun there.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to enjoy myself there. And that's what we do with traumatic events is we remember only the negatives. And like even bad relationships, you'll only remember the negatives because of how it ended.
Right.
Instead of the positives of what went on and why you were in this relationship for so long. And so we become focused on the negative happenstances, and we don't allow ourselves to make it okay.
Yeah.
And because of the fear that it's going to happen again.
Right. And that's part of what I take people through when I work with them on their journaling. You know, I love journaling.
Yeah.
Is that's one of the techniques is whenever you are experiencing a traumatic experience that just has a strong hold on you, I will have, that's part of their homework.
Yeah.
Is go ahead and complete the file.
Right.
And what I mean by that is go in, revisit the entire
Traumatic event.
section of your life, not just the traumatic portion of it, but the entire, and we'll go with the relationship, for example.
Right.
I did this on my journey and it was so very helpful in relationships.
I know you got me.
Yeah.
It must have worked.
Obviously. Because I went on a journey in relationships, and I don't mean like friends. I mean like mate relationship or finding my intimate, and that's not really even the word either because I wasn't looking for sexual relationship necessarily, but my what do you call it? My partnership, my
love life.
Yeah, my love life relationships. And I noticed that I was the common denominator when I explored this part. In
Almost
my
every
life.
traumatic event, the person is almost every. is the common denominator if they're repeating it. And this is exactly the topic of this podcast. Way to go.
Way to bring it right back around.
Yes, it's the exact topic. And because that's what it is. That's what happens is you hang on to the traumatic event because for some reason, as humans, we class traumatic events at different levels. Like, okay, like I worked with this one guy that he was so scared because his wife ran off on him. She started doing drugs and blah, 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 this other stuff. And he was so fearful of the running off and doing drug part, he was classifying these at a 10 instead of the initial traumatic event as at a 10. And so he clouded his own judgment and ranked his traumatic events in this situation higher in one category than in the other. In the other, and that's what I was told him. I was like, you've got to look at the whole traumatic event differently. You've got to take these rankings down and make them all equal, because every step of it is the same traumatic event.
Yeah. So where I was trying to go with my piece of it was not just focusing on the trauma part of the event.
Right.
And I was using relationships as an example because what I will have my clients do, which is a little bit different than what you have your clients do, is I make them look at the whole relationship and pinpoint things they did learn, things that were good that came out of it, so that they come out of it educated and balanced, not just lopsided and traumatized.
Right. No, I totally agree.
You take the whole relationship and you break it into 2 columns. And obviously the trauma goes in one column because that's right there in your face and you have no problem identifying it.
Right.
So you write it down and you get it out.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go back and you revisit that. And it sometimes is not, it's not able to be accomplished in a session. They actually have to take it home.
Yep.
And it has to be homework.
Yes.
Because sometimes it takes them a month or 2 even to really get past the trauma that they've labeled as a 10 to be able to get to the point of seeing, okay, what were some of the parts that can be logged as good because I learned something from them.
Yes.
That's where I had to take myself personally in having relationships myself. I, like most people, had some traumatic events, but they were so huge, I couldn't see the good parts.
Right.
The traumatic events were so big.
Right.
And so it took me several months of doing scientific exploration. I went on a relationship expedition in my own life.
See, I when I work with clients, I do it a little differently. And and guys, if you're listening, and you can use either one of these processes. They're both proven to work. But what I did, like for this one example I brought up, I said, if you're going to level these, make these level, and this event was a 10, this event was a 1, you have to do the same thing on the other side.
Are you talking about the negative events that traumatize
the negative steps,
person?
because people are so good at remembering all the negative steps of what happened to this event that because of how they're taught. And so I told him, basically, if you take this event and you label this a 1 and this event as a 2, and this each step of this entire traumatic event, you have to go through and take the good stuff and do the same thing. Right. That'll create balance. You either have to do A, this, or B, you have to lower everything to the same level and look at them logically.
Yeah.
Because this guy, for example, had 20 years of life prior to this event with this person.
Yeah.
And you got to look at both of them. So this one traumatic event, we as humans have a tendency to allow it to trump all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And that is not balance.
Overshadow the good stuff.
Overshadow.
Do you know why humans do that?
You tell me, doctor.
Ooh, do let me. So, pain and pleasure.
That's a template.
As humans, we log everything as pain and pleasure. the trip up point is that because pleasure feels good, we don't give it as much credit because it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
The pain can sometimes feel so bad or be so heavy of an energy, and it feels so bad. We hyper focus on it because we do not want to feel that shitty ever again in our lives. And so we do everything we can by being hyper focused or hyper vigilant to try and control not having to experience that
again.
pain again, whether it be emotional, mental, or physical. And so we are constantly on that fight or flight, stressed out state about the topic that caused the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And red flags sometimes you can get tangled up in. Life becomes nothing but red flags, and you're living life. You wake up one day and realize you're living life as an emergency, red flag, looking for red flags, looking for the shoe to drop, rather than stopping and reminding yourself to look at the good, to remember the good, and see life from that perspective as well. Because it felt good, it didn't necessarily hang on because the feel bad feels so much worse.
Yeah. Get it.
And that's why we do it.
Yeah, I can totally understand.
So you have to be consciously aware of making sure it's kind of like being grateful and having gratitude. You got to stop in the now and go back to when it did feel bad and remember now after the cleanup crews come through of that it feels better and I've survived that, and now life is beautiful or looks better or feels better, and recognizing that with as much fervor or as much focus or as much vigilance as you do the painful trauma, and like you said, giving them equal status in the file folder of life, basically. At least logging the good part of that as a 10 so that they're balanced.
Correct. Which is one of the core teachings that we do in this workshop coming up. But the understanding of when you have this negative traumatic event that you have labeled, and then you go through life with the fear of it, is so crucial. Because when you focus on it, because it does rank so high in your repertoire of bad things, you know, as we live in this environment, we have a tendency subconsciously to recreate that environment and energetically. What?
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about a dinosaur when you said repertoire.
Oh. Okay, T-Rex. You and your short arms. Anyway. So when we allow those traumatic events and everything to not release or not make them okay, because that's what you and I were discussing this morning, is when we have traumatic events in our life and we hang on to that energy, it just repeats itself. Well, because Spirit's saying, hey, you need to do something with this.
Right. And it skews your perspective.
Yeah, totally.
And what we mean by skewing your perspective, the perspective is the viewpoint that you hold at the time whenever you're looking at your world around you, based on, patterns, programs, beliefs, your experiences. How are you defining the events that are taking place in front of you? That's your perspective.
100%. And when you have the first step of that traumatic event that you've labeled comes into your reality, you start focusing on it. Or you'll be like, oh, I'm going to avoid it. Right. And I see this trait in this person. Yep, I'm done. I'm out.
That's right.
That
could be the very person that's coming to bring you the key information on your next step in your journey. But because correct. You're so restricted or closed down to the trauma part of it, you can't even hear the message or see the sign.
That is correct. 100%.
Which was our podcast that we posted on Tuesday. Is, seeing the signs.
Identifying the signs of your journey.
Or maybe that's the one I have to edit.
Let's post it. Oh.
Anyway, we've talked about signs before.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why you have a hard time hearing or seeing the signs of where to go, because you're so focused in on red flags
Right.
and you're in such a trauma response loop
And fear.
or living in a fear template. That's what that means.
Yep.
And that's what you can define that as, because what it does is it causes you to look at the world through eyes of fear.
Right.
And that will restrict you from living life.
Right. No, totally. And, like for what I would say to any of the listeners, it like either using your way of journaling or my way of scoring,
Yeah.
Either way, you have to look at those equally.
Right. Yeah. Because otherwise your file folder is one-sided. Your energy is one-sided. And like we talked about, you got to give the good the same level of playing ground as you do the bad.
That's right.
It ties right in nicely to the relationship ones that we've done as well, where you've said you can't convict your current relationship for the wrongdoings of the previous relationship.
Right. Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're taking that traumatic.
You're convicting this person of something they haven't even done.
I don't think we put that on a podcast. We were talking about that yesterday morning.
And this is one of the ways that you can entangle all of that into other sections of the life pie, is like in your relationship.
Right.
If you've had a relationship or traumatic events going on in a relationship and you try to start a new one without being able to educate, I always say you come out of a relationship either educated and balanced, or you come out of it traumatized and damaged.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to choose.
Right.
And
if your beliefs are clear, you get to choose.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have to stop and acknowledge.
Right.
Yeah, I had a shitty relationship, or yeah, I had a traumatic event. But am I going to choose to just be the victim?
Right.
Or am I going to choose to be educated in that? And one of the ways is either go your route where it is you remember the good,
mm-hmm.
or you find the good in that interaction, in that relationship. Even if the person wasn't good,
right?
What did I learn from it? And log those as good.
Right.
Find the good. Find the things that you learned that were positive. Find the positive in it so you can balance that out.
What I liked about it is one of the exercises that I had given out was, if you're going to rate these as worse, less worse, more worse, whatever, give them a number. And then go through and do that for the good side.
Right.
And then I want you to take the total of each one of these numbers and the total of the traumatic numbers and then the total of the good numbers. And the good numbers always outweigh the bad because we as humans hang on to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we get to that point that you can be smart enough to identify and create the system that you do, whichever one it is that you use, you'll find out that you're creating this event, which it could be a very bad event.
No doubt.
But if you weren't supposed to have gone through it, then you would have removed yourself from it in the first place.
Yeah.
And I know some people have a hard time hearing that.
Well, and that's
because you do, if you go through a traumatic event in a relationship, in an accident or whatever that is, if you weren't supposed to be going through it, you wouldn't be going through it.
That's right.
That's just part of learning.
Right. But what gets tangled up or what gets missed, like we're talking about, is if you stay wrapped up in the fear and the trauma of it and not really stopping to go back to school, put yourself back through school and get educated from a balanced state of being, which is to identify either the good moments in it or what you learned on a positive note from it and balance that situation out.
Yes, totally 100% correct.
Because the situation, it created trauma experience because it hurt physically or mentally or emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a reason, like you said, there was a reason why you went through it. And so getting aligned with that and finding what the other positive reasons were as to why you went through it is going to give you that balance ability.
Yeah, balance ability. Because you've said this 100 times, is life is not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yes.
And when you can look at it from that perspective and be able to rank your traumatic events differently, you'll quit copying and paste it in other parts of your life, because people do that as well.
Yeah.
I'll give you one that was not very long ago. My first husband did this and this and this, and then ended up like this.
Right.
And with friends, with people she's not even going to date, she sees the first little part, that first step of that traumatic event that she's labeling as in somebody else.
And she's bringing it into all of her relationships.
Right clicking on it, she's copying it, and she's pasting it right onto this person.
Yeah.
And then fear. Now you brought it right into your reality because you're not handling it.
Right. And you've got bleed through onto the other relationships in your bubble.
And so and living in a fear template is what that is. That is the prime example of living in a fear template on that subject.
I agree. And what it will do inadvertently is if you don't deal with it, it'll start entangling itself into all sections of the life pie. The health, the well-being, the money, everything. It'll start
create fears everywhere.
It'll grow that little vine of fear and weave it into all those different sections.
That is 100% correct.
And that's what you and I do for people is we help identify for them where that has gotten entangled and woven into all the different areas, which then creates a reality they view as this is tough or awful or I'm ready for change.
Right. And here's a good example of that is when you are logging a traumatic event in a relationship, you have now subconsciously trained your mind. The word relationship is going to have traumatic events, no matter what that relationship is. Yeah. Relationship with you and your business, you and your food, you and your friends, you and your car. And so that word just travels over here. And now you're bringing negative energy into it, which is why the power of thought is so strong.
And that can be happening on a subconscious level. And you're not even realizing it.
Not even realize it. That's 100%
because
correct.
In the human English language, as we all know, some words have multiple meanings.
Oh, yeah. Well, in every language.
So I only know the English language. I can only speak to that.
Well, I can give a prime example. There's Greek and Hebrew translations I did when I was studying the Bibles. Yeah. There are certain Hebrew words, like, for example, like the word, we do it all the time. It's all in how you say it. Like, I've used this one a lot. Dude. You say, hey, dude, or dude. It's the same word, but it's the presentation that changes it. Yeah. Every language that I have ever studied or learned has that exact thing. It's about the presentation.
Yeah, that's another good aspect of it.
Yeah.
But going back to the word relationship, you have relationships, like you said, not only intimate ones with your partner, but you have friends,
money.
You have money. You've got food, work. I mean, that
health.
Word can mean a lot of different things. And if you've automatically got a belief that there's relationships can't be trusted,
right?
But you've not stopped and given it precision of words, as I always say.
Yes.
And you just clump it all together because of a traumatic, intimate relationship that happened.
Right.
And you're going through a fear template of life, looking for red flags. It will inadvertently bleed over and copy and paste, like you said, into other relationships in your life.
This is the one that I had with one of the previous guys where we used to work. His wife passed away. And he was so caught up in the fact that his wife passed away, he created a fear and would literally copy and paste it into everything that he was trying to do in his life, because he viewed his marriage of ending abruptly, and it created a failure mindset based on the fear of recreating. And he carried that over into, I'm not getting the surgery because it's what happens if it fails? or I'm not going to do this. With like his grandson was approaching him about helping him invest into a business. I'm not going to do it because what if it fails?
Right. So he morphed that all took that a whole thing.
Yes, and humans
and
do
morphed it into a failure template.
We all do it. It's just some of us are better at catching it when we do it.
Yeah, and that's what this whole work is about. And that's why I always will, 9 times out of 10, when you ask me, okay, what are the steps when we're talking about a certain subject, is the most important, I think, and number one step in most of this work is becoming aware
of it. Yep.
Of what is my perspective? How am I viewing this? Because once you bring it into your conscious awareness, then we have something to work with.
Yeah, totally.
If it's still sitting back in your subconscious and you're not aware of it and you don't even know what's happening and you're just on autopilot, then you'll continue to stay on autopilot and just muddle through life.
Correct.
So you could change our name tags to awareness counselors.
Yeah, that's actually not
awareness coaches, because that's what we do whenever clients book their sessions with us.
Yeah.
We listen to them talk and we have conversation with them, kind of like we're doing now, just gentle conversations. And when we hear patterns or we hear programming or beliefs, that's what we do. We stop right then and we bring it to their awareness.
Right. So like going back to that example, this perfect thing that I just talked about, his grandson had approached him about helping him start a business.
Yeah. And
he was like, hey, I'm not going to do it because it's going to fail. And I'm like, have you invested in a business before and failed? And he's like, no. I'm like, then why would you have that energy?
Right.
And so that's where him and I worked through it. He was like, oh, I see what I'm doing. And like I told him, if you ever have something pop up like that, a doubt, a fear, a hesitation, a lack of patience, any of that kind of stuff that pops up, stop and say to yourself, have I done this before?
Right. Is this a viable fear? Is this a viable thing to be cautious about or to be logging this way?
Right.
You're exactly right.
Because the number one thing that I tell everybody in abundance, when I talk to anybody about abundance, and it gets brought up a lot.
You mean money abundance?
Money abundance. It's financial. They carry this fear that they have been taught that if I do this, then I'm going to fail. Or if I don't do it this way that I'm taught, I'm going to fail. And one of my strong points is financial in my energetic field.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm very good at creating abundance.
Yeah.
And when the number one thing that held me back for so many years was the fact that I was trying to follow the societal top beliefs. It does not work. It does not work. It does not work. And I don't know if y'all heard me or not, but it does not work. Hey, I
want to ask you a question.
Yes.
Does it work?
No, it does not work. I promise you. I remember when I had no money in the bank and had bills to pay. Right. I remember those days quite vividly.
Right.
And so when something comes up, be it, like for example, this gentleman that came up and I'm like, well, how much money have you lost in business before? Oh, I don't. My financial advisor always tells me. Well, there's your sign. How much has your wealth really grown? If you want to grow wealth, quit holding yourself back. Quit doing it in life, period. If you want to grow abundantly in money, in finance, in relationships, quit copy and pasting.
Yeah. Yeah. Quit standing behind yourself, holding on to your shirt.
Yeah, that's what that would be a good. That's a t-shirt. That is a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt for the store there I can see that. That's a good
Absolutely.
shirt right there. Because, we do it in relationships. We do it in everything as humans.
Yeah.
We classify these events as negative or the societal top beliefs. We give them more weight when we have never experienced them.
Yeah. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of times, I would say more than 50% of the time, the person doesn't even realize they're doing it.
No, they don't.
It's an unconscious practice.
Right.
And so bringing it to the awareness, because I'm telling you, the minute you bring it to your awareness and you start catching yourself doing it, that is absolutely a big component of the healing process of any trauma.
Right.
Is bringing it to the awareness, because now you understand and you see, oh, you know what? And we'll get people that say, oh my gosh, ever since you brought that to my awareness,
I see it
I
now.
see it in this. I
Yeah.
see it in this. I see it in this.
Yeah. That happens
And
every time almost.
It does.
Yes.
I would say you're right. 100% of the time, they begin to see it more and more clearly.
Right.
And so awareness is a huge part of the work that we do, and a huge part of homework that we send home with people. Catch yourself doing it. Bring
Right.
it to your awareness.
Right.
That's definitely always for me going to be step number one.
And so what I did with him, and this would be a good thing for them. I think step number one is, first of all, the awareness, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Step number two is either A, we're journaling, like you said, or B, creating that level of awareness by labeling everything that you can go back and think of.
Yeah.
Give it a number.
Right.
How important is this to me? How important is it? How not important is it? And give it a number, and then total them up, and you're going to find out that traumatic events don't weigh anywhere near the good events.
Yeah. And I think the next thing would be, when you're having that experience, you brought up a very, very cool technique. Stop and ask yourself the question.
Yeah.
Have I
done this before? Yeah.
Have I, like with the money?
Yeah.
Have I ever lost money investing in something before?
Right.
Or is it just a total monkey mind lie that I'm telling myself?
Have you identified where you've lost? No. Do you believe that things happen for a reason? They always say yes.
Yeah.
Everybody believes that things happen for a reason. I have never met anybody that don't believe that. They have all happened for a reason.
Right.
But then, so why are you holding yourself back?
Why have you created this whole storyline that you're afraid of
Right.
failure,
Yeah.
or you're
afraid of
afraid
failure.
it's going to go this direction when you've not even experienced that?
And I'm not saying go out there and just willy-nilly live life. That's not what we're saying.
Fuck that, I am. I'm saying that.
But what I am saying is this, I've seen so many people lose out on good people for relationships.
Or things.
Or they won't go buy a truck because they're,
Experiences.
our son, we worked through this scenario with him
Yeah.
when he wanted a new pickup.
Yeah.
Or, it was a new pickup too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We worked with him twice on it about this, buying a new truck and buying a new apartment.
Yeah.
We try to teach him money in, money out.
That's right.
It all equalizes out.
Yeah.
Like
And it does.
you've got Trump that's worth $8 billion, but nobody tells you that he spent $400 million a year. That's his cost. That's how people live. You don't change the energy.
Yeah.
You grow in abundance.
Right.
So your levels go up. You do it in relationships, you do it in finance, you do it in health,
That's right.
you do it in everything. And
Yeah.
so going through these steps, if you can marry them together, do it in sex, happens in sex a lot.
Yeah.
And like I told him, so if you believe things happen for a reason, then this is put in your lap for some reason.
Yeah.
Now, what you do with that is up to you.
Exactly.
But you have to get the traumatic events out of the way and the fears and what you've been taught, unless you've experienced it. And if you're getting a negative thought about something, unless you've lived it and experienced it,
Yeah.
then you have no ground in your life to hang on to it.
Well, and the other side of that is that if you are so closed off to experiencing any aspect of it, situation that gets close to that wound, that traumatic wound, if you're
Yeah.
so closed off, you won't even allow the healing.
No, you won't. And you won't allow the opportunity of anything.
I had a client that she had a traumatic relationship, as most people do. And I mean, still to this day, she is like, it's a battle.
Yeah.
She absolutely is still staunch on certain things around relationships, and it's bleeding over into the other parts of her life.
Right.
And she just is like, nope, I'm not doing that. I can't. I'm not doing it. Not happening.
Right.
Of course, the salty ass tarot in me is like, well, I don't know why you're wasting your money then. I mean, give me my $65. Come sit on my comfortable couch.
And we're going to repeat history every week.
We'll sit here and we'll repeat history every week. You're not going to allow yourself to heal this traumatic event. So it's your decision if you want to keep wallowing in the pigsty of bullshit, then be my guest. Even down to just what you would consider minor things.
Yeah.
Like the other day we were talking about going on a cruise, and we were conversating with an individual, and they had a negative experience on
when they were a child.
Yeah, being on a boat, that they were just very staunch and nope, I'm not going on a cruise. It made me sick ever again. Instead of coming to that place of wanting to level up and do some work around it and come full circle and relax about it a little bit and learn that you can let go of that traumatic experience, because look at the beautiful stuff you're missing out on.
Oh yeah.
The cruise ships have advanced in their technology.
Yeah, I even brought that up.
You're not even willing to go and try a little cruise just to test it or do any homework around it. You're just staunch in, nope, I had a bad experience.
This is going to happen to me over and over and over and over.
Ever again in my life. What a closed off way to live life. What a closed off way to look at things.
What's fear?
Of course it's fear, but what I'm getting at is you're missing out on so many beautiful experiences that you could be having, and that's in just such a tiny little part of the life pie. Is using that example of going on a cruise, because you had this experience and now you've clumped it all together of every experience I go on, which has to do with going on a boat in the ocean, I'm going to have the same outcome. And so I'm never doing it ever again. And it's just a closed off way to experience life in general.
Right. And, in that scenario, I don't think people realize they copy and paste their world. Right. And how many other things are you creating that fear of exploring new things in?
Yeah. How many other things are you copy and pasting in?
Yeah. Because
just out of habit.
Oh, yeah, they will.
And it's an unconscious habit.
I went on this adventure and I failed, and it created a fear. And so now I'm not going to do this adventure because what if?
And then they look at their reality and it's not quite what they want it to be, and they don't understand why.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, gosh, you got to start looking at stuff.
Right.
And you've got to start looking at how it can intertangle in other sections of your life and bleed over into other sections of your life if you leave it unaddressed or unattended.
Right.
It can physically start making symptoms.
Oh, totally.
It can mentally wear you down. It can take the sweetness out of life. It can change your perspective of being able to have appreciation and acknowledge the beauty of the world around you. It can just totally skew all of those different areas, and it will present a whole different reality. That's why the Power of Thought School is so important.
Totally.
Because we teach you step by step on what we mean, and we dive into the depths of all of this and show you
it is a process. It is a complete
how it can get
system.
intertangled and how it can skew other aspects of the life pie just by having this one little baby thought and being so restricted and so staunch on, nope, I'm not moving my cheese on this one. Not happening.
Yeah.
And how something else can be intertangled.
Do you think in this example of the boat thing, the very next sentence was I never eat. And, a lot of people don't realize that that's marrying from one thing to the other.
Right.
Because she was nauseous on the ship.
Yeah.
And now you don't eat properly.
Right.
Because it's a belief system of I don't want to have anything in there just in case, and I'm going to throw up.
Right.
And so that's
it's
that's
all intertangled.
It's all intertangled. People don't realize how that intertangles into their life when they do that.
Yeah. And it can all get tangled up and twisted up and connect itself to other things and intertangle all kinds of stuff if you're not careful and paying attention.
I'm going to push this out there, which I don't normally do.
Dun.
I would challenge any listener that if you have anything that comes up that says, well, what if? Or again, it creates that little bit of hesitation in anything in your life.
Look at
anything, look at it and write it down. I'm not
Absolutely.
normally a journaling pusher, but if you'll write it down and then look at something completely opposite of the spectrum. Say we're talking about relationships. You're having you've had a traumatic experience in a relationship, and you wrote that down. And now I want you to take the opposite end of the spectrum and go to your relationship with food, and see where there's similarities. Write the things down in your traumatic event,
Yeah.
and then write it down with your relationship with food, and you're going to see the similarities.
Yeah. So in my process, when I have people journal, we do that.
Mm-hmm.
See where this might be affecting the other. I call it the life pie.
Right.
You know, you've got relationship with money, and you've got work and career, and I mean, just all those different sections of the life pie. First of all, we identify what the life pie is,
Right.
but then we have this one thing that creates such a staunch viewpoint. That's part of their homework, is what you just said exactly. Yeah. Go and ask yourself a question: where else in my life pie may I be dragging this into that and inadvertently entangling it in? Then the third thing I have them do.
You just lost it.
I lost the channel.
No. Well, I guess that was all I need to hear on this podcast. Maybe it's a continuation.
We'll see if it comes back up.
Well, I think the part of it that everybody needs to hear is, let's kind of repeat the steps. 1 is awareness.
Yeah.
2 is find the balance, create the list of the good and the bad in every topic, if it's a relationship or if it's, and make it individualized. And so if you had a bad relationship with Bobby Joe, then write down Bobby Joe relationship, the negatives and the positives. And then if you do like the client I had, if this traumatic part of this event was much more than this, then go ahead and write out a number beside them and score them from 1 to 10, and then add those numbers up. And
do you think it would be beneficial to do a subtitle of, am I letting that relationship or that experience from Bobby Joe bleed over into any of my other relationships?
Well, yeah, I think that
question?
Yeah, totally. I think that is correct. Because I think the next step of that is, first of all, you have to allow yourself to accept and balance that traumatic events out.
Right. And give ownership where ownership is due, and take blame away from where it's not.
Right.
How would you say that?
Because, well, I just want to say
not
this,
deserving.
And a lot of people don't like this, but I will say this, that it's 50% your fault too.
Right. But what I'm saying in more of the way of, like the example you talked about earlier, is in a relationship situation, for example, if this person did something to you, are you blaming the new person when the new person hasn't even done that thing?
Well, I think that's in step 3.
Like you said with his investing, he won't even allow himself to entertain the possibility, because he's afraid he's going to lose out anyway. It's not going to work out. And you had him ask the question, okay, well, have you ever invested anything and it failed? And he's like, no.
Never invested anything. You never invested at all.
Right. The illogical thing in what you're doing.
Right. And what's really funny is, right before we left over there, he came to me and I said, hey, how's your grandson's business doing? And he's like, oh, it's phenomenal. He paid me back in 3 months, and he's doing a great job. And I'm like, see?
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I know. He said, and so now I'm looking at other things that I've been taught. He's because he had all his money in his retirement fund, whatever, was controlled by somebody. And now he started playing in the stock market because he was taught all his life that it was dangerous to play in.
Oh, right.
And so now he's opened his windows and playing in the stock market.
Kind of venture now.
Yeah. And then he started talking to a woman at the place where he volunteered. Right. And so it's carrying over. It's kind of funny,
Yeah. Allowing yourself to live.
Yeah. And crazy. He was in his mid-90s.
Yeah.
And he was talking to some woman that volunteers there too.
Yeah.
But it's
are you copy and paste in life, or are you allowing yourself to live?
Right, because that's what we do as humans. And until you can identify that and allow the balance, because that's the last step of this process.
Yeah.
Your awareness, your journaling, your scoring, you're looking at the processes by which you're marrying it into the other slice of pie of life,
Yeah.
whatever that is. And now the last thing is you have to allow it to balance. You have to make it okay.
Right.
You know what? It may happen again in your life. News for you. No matter what belief you have, what fear you have, whatever it is, it may happen again. And it's time to accept that.
Yeah. And be okay with it.
And be okay with it if it does.
Right.
Because what you'll find out is when you make it okay, it normally doesn't.
Right.
But it could.
Yeah.
It could. And so that accepting that releases that energy of like, okay, if this happens, it's going to happen. It is what it is. You hear me say that all the time. It is what it is.
Yeah. Because if we're supposed to experience it,
we will.
We will.
And if there's something in it that you missed that you were supposed to learn, your higher self's going to bring it into your reality again. And so what's the use of having fear? Because fear
or trying
is
to control
a
it.
Useless emotion. It's not even a natural emotion. It's taught.
Right.
You can have hesitation, and I had somebody try to argue with me about that fact one time, that fear is not natural. Because he said, what about the cavemen? Why didn't they just jump off the cliffs? Or why did they, if they didn't have a fear? And I'm like, well, first of all, you're talking way over your head. You're, dimensionally, cavemen were just a dimension. But, but the second part about it is, no, they didn't have fear. You know what it was? It was logic.
Yeah, strategy and logic.
Right. They didn't attach an emotion to it.
Right.
They just said, oh, okay, so if I jump off this cliff, I'm logically minded enough to say, that's going to hurt.
Not going to end well.
Not going to end well.
Yeah.
But they didn't not do it because they were scared to do it.
Right.
Cavemen weren't scared of anything. I mean, heck, they fought dinosaurs, for God's sakes.
Maybe.
So maybe, but if you go off the historical books, but making it okay. Like that.
But what about that show where there's these ranchers that are finding dinosaur bones on their property now?
Yeah, in the States,
I
in
went
Idaho.
in a different direction.
That was in Idaho.
Yeah.
I know. Wow, huh?
We came across that little series, and I was like, oh my God, who would have thought it?
Yeah, I know, right? And then they found a couple stacked on top of each other. But anyway, so to finish out the podcast, since we're getting there, the last
Such
thing.
a timekeeper.
Well, I have to. The part of it that nobody does is they don't allow it to be okay in their life.
Right.
You want success? Remove the crap.
Yeah.
In any topic.
Absolutely.
You have to make it okay.
Yep.
Listen, I'm gonna give this gal a chance. I'm gonna date this gal.
Yeah.
That's what I did with you. I'm gonna give this gal a chance. I'm just playing. But when you
let me take this old crazy gal, this gypsy, homeless, ragamuffin of a gal. Let me give her a chance. Let me see if I can drag her around for a while and see what happens.
When we first started dating, I remember that jar was on my bar. I always had a jar that had thousands of dollars of cash in it. Thousands. And she walked in one day. She's like, I got one question. Are you like a drug dealer or what?
Right.
And I'm like, what? Why do you ask that question? And she's like, because I've never known anybody that just puts $1,000 or, thousands and thousands of dollars of cash in a jar, sitting openly in a glass jar that you can see into.
Right.
I'm
exactly.
Like, it's just there in case I need it. It was so funny.
Yeah.
But because I had balanced out that part of my life.
Right.
And I was working on the relationship thing, and then you came in and it balanced quite well.
Yeah.
But I really did, say that to myself. I wasn't, and you laughed. I did say, I'm going to give this gal a chance. That's when I got out of the truck, came over and kissed you in the car.
Right. Yeah.
That's exactly what I did.
Because after you and I said our goodbye greetings.
Yep.
And you didn't kiss me.
The salutations.
Yeah, the salutations. I was like, oh, this guy's weird. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. First of all, he took me. So my criteria, we'd been talking on the phone for a minute, and we finally, I say a minute, maybe 2 or 3 days. What?
No, it was like 2 days. We talked once for like 15 minutes because you had to go to work.
Couple of days or whatever. And you'd said, well, you want to meet up somewhere.
Yeah, you want to go have dinner or something.
I said, sure. But here's the criteria. Listen, because I had long hair and I only wash it like once a week. I do not want to go anywhere in some dumb dive bar that's smoky where I'll have to wash my freaking hair. Because at the time, listen, you guys, I was living out of my car. And it wasn't easy to go and wash my hair every damn day like society says you have to.
Right.
Like I was having to go to a friend's house and wash my hair, or like I just needed life to be simple right. Life.
And it was a choice, by the way.
It was. I went homeless to have a freedom experience and to untie, kind of go semi-off grid from everything after the kids went off to college and everything. So it was a choice. Anyway, long story short, I gave him all these criteria and these rules. I don't want to go into some junky ass dive bar where it's all filled with smoke and I leave with my long hair.
I helped her clear some things.
Smoky and shit. I don't want to do all that crap.
And where do I take you?
And where the bleep does he take me?
To a biker bar.
I pull up to this damn place, and I literally, you guys, almost didn't even get out of the damn car. Because I was at a point in my life where I was okay if I had a relationship, but I was okay if I didn't.
That's balance. That's exactly what we're preaching today.
That's right. I was
the same exact way.
Before in my life, I had never gotten to a place where I was okay not being in a relationship.
Right.
And I had finally done the work, got off my ass, did the homework, found the common denominators, looked at things, do the very steps that I am sharing here on the podcast today. And I know this is going long, but I think it's pertinent. And I was fine not having you in my life or having you in my life.
Yep.
So therefore, I confidently said, yep, we can meet up, but here's my boundaries. And him being the challenger that he is, which we still do this to this day. We play around and banter with each other. He says, okay,
meet me here.
Biatch,
I'll send you a pin.
Meet me here. Let me give you the ping. I pull up in this parking lot, and it is a dive biker bar.
I am a biker, man.
It is a damn dive. You get out thinking you're going to get shanked, for God's sakes. I'm like,
it's a smoky
single
biker
female,
bar.
sketchy ass back alley bar. I don't even know if I'm almost afraid to even get out of the damn car, much less walk in this place by myself. I meet this complete stranger.
I was sitting at the bar already because everybody knew me there.
But what it did was I had to clear societal programming and basically stop judging the book by its cover and know that I sat in the car for a minute and I really had to check in with my council members and my higher self and my guidance. Because societally you're taught, oh, female, don't go into this eerie looking junky ass place. So I did. You're right. You set me in a motion to clear some shit.
Yep. I gave you a spoonful of here you go.
Right. So I finally was like, okay, you know what? We're doing this. I trust my guidance. I know that if I were in danger, I know my counsel will guide me away from that. I wouldn't be sitting here if I were supposed to, not, or if I was going to die today, bullshit. And if I'm supposed to die today and this is where I'm supposed to do it, then it was divinely guided, and I trust that. And I do to this day trust my guidance wholeheartedly. So I got out of the damn car and I went in.
First thing she said to me when she sat down is, I told you not to bring me to a smoky dive bar. I said, okay.
There's the door, basically, bitch. I was like,
this is me. You like me or you don't.
Look at this salty ass. I see. Okay, let's play.
Yeah, and we did.
Let's play. Let's dance.
We did not spend a night apart since.
We have not.
It's been fun.
We have not.
It's been a good ride. I cannot complain at all.
Yeah. It has.
But what it does is that right there is a prime example of how your guides work.
Yeah.
Just because you have a fear.
Right.
And if you're aware enough to stop and say, you know what, I trust my instinct. I trust that Spirit allowed me to, first of all, bring this into my reality.
Yeah.
And second of all, is I trust my higher self and my guidance to get myself out of the situation that I put myself into.
Or be okay in the situation.
Or be okay within it.
Right.
Because
I
generally
said to
speaking,
myself,
you make the stories bigger than they really are.
Here I am afraid to get out because I'm afraid I'm going to be physically injured or end of life.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I trust my guidance. So if this is where I've come to die, then so be it.
So
it's okay to stay. It's okay to go.
It is. And that's balance. And that's where I think we end this at is you have to allow balance in everything that you have.
That's right.
And if you go through the steps that we just give you and identify those fears, you'll find out what's holding you back.
Yeah.
Because that is what's holding you back in life. 100%.
Absolutely.
It's the only thing that holds you back because your higher self and just your mission here in this life is to have experiences.
Yeah.
And when you are fearful of engaging in any new experience, if it's brought into your reality, it is there for a reason.
That's right.
And when you don't look at it or don't give it the opportunity out of societal thought or beliefs or even experience.
Yeah.
If you don't give it the opportunity, then you cannot rewrite the history.
That's right.
And that does not create balance.
Or have an experience.
Yeah.
Or even have a new experience so that you can balance out the energy of the previous experience.
I like one thing, the Dr. Phil, he always says this, and I like the way he says it. And he always says the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior because he just don't say this part. This is because you carry beliefs.
That's right.
And he uses it in a way to stereotype people.
Yeah.
But the saying itself needs one more phrase.
It does.
Because you bring beliefs with you.
You copy and paste your beliefs
That's right
into the next moment.
Yep. And so when you can look at it in that way and don't turn your head on opportunities in life, be it food, relationships, money, friendships, business, whatever it is, don't side-eye it.
So you know what we are?
What?
We're the Control-Alt-Delete of your copy and paste programming.
There you go. Hey, I like the way
you like that computer
that's
lingo?
pretty good. That's very good.
Yeah.
Anyway, y'all don't forget to like, follow, and share. Leave us a comment if you like the podcast. Leave us a comment on there and share it on your Facebook page or whatever you want to do.
Absolutely.
We appreciate everybody's attention to our podcast. Don't forget, the Salty Tarot app will be out soon.
That's right.
Go to www.thesaltytarot.net and subscribe there, and we will notify you when the app drops into the stores.
Yeah, very quickly coming.
Yes, it is coming quickly and growing rapidly.
Yeah.
And check out our website, www.themerchcenters.org. And also, we have a Discord channel for the Salty Tarot. And if all you have to do is go to Discord and search the Salty Tarot, and you can join that channel that way because they too will be notified of the drop time. We're on Facebook, Instagram, everything, so you can look us up. We hope that you will download the app when it comes out.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. It already is so much fun. We're getting to kind of see snippets of it with the developers.
Did not know it was this entailed to develop an app.
I didn't either.
And what a fear it created in me in the beginning. Wow.
Really?
Yeah, all the stuff I had to create.
Yeah.
And I had to learn. I was like, I'm old. I can't learn new stuff. Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You're old. That's
what came in my head.
I better get on, what was that? Okay, Cupid. I better get on
you better
Cupid.
give me a replacement.
Find my replacement parts.
Yeah, you may be able to 3D print them now. Who knows?
Ooh, good thinking.
Or, AI exists. You can have an AI boyfriend on your phone.
AI 3D printing. You might be onto something there.
That's my technology. Yeah, that mind. Anyway, hey, thank you all for listening. And I hope you all really, truly listen to this podcast because it will change your life.
It is.
Have an awesome day.
Love ya.